Hello, and welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase with your hosts, Rita and Mel.
This is Paris, the capital of gastronomy. With 115 top-rated restaurants, 1 million baguettes devoured each day.
Et bah c'est parti! So, what's this?
Planet Earth, home to a growing number of Homo sapiens and a whole lot of other creatures. It's a great place to live. But when it comes to the future of our small planet, the truth is, I've given up. And the odds are, so have you. What if there was another path?
I know I am a filmmaker, and there's no other choice for me.
Hi everyone, and we'd like to welcome Serena, Ryen and Itzkow. So they're the writers, directors and producer of their short film, High Score. Welcome to RIME Entertainment Showcase.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.
Really nice to talk to you today.
Amazing. Pleasure. So tell us about the film, High Score.
Yeah.
Right. So High Score follows a burgeoning white supremacist as he descends deeper and deeper into the darkest pits of the internet, eventually becoming radicalized to a racist conspiracy theory known as the Great Replacement.
Mm-hmm. It's an anti-racist social horror film, is what we're calling it. It's 16 minutes long, and Ethan here plays the lead character, who, as he said, you watch him sort of spiral. And there's one of my favorite elements of the film, besides its message, is there's a lot of visual effects that I think are quite surprising.
His interpretation of reality filtered through his experiences with the internet and being radicalized in these online spaces starts to affect like his perception of reality at large.
Yeah. I mean, we saw the film and it was like, wow. Like how it, it kind of pulls you in as well from the beginning into kind of almost like his journey and how radical it really is in terms of that. So, a really powerful film. So, well done to both of you for being selected for Paris International Film Festival. It's outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, there were certain points where, again, small things that got to obviously the character you played there, Ethan, and it was just the way it spiraled and the way that you could see, again, it could be just, bumping into the other member of staff, like in the part of the beginning scenes, obviously, when you had when your character, not you, of course, had the issue with like the boss and all of that. And I think just something as small as that escalated in that anger and that emotion. So, I mean, for yourself, Ethan, kind of channeling that anger. What was it like for you in that journey in terms of that character?
Well, I'm going to begin with saying before the start of the film, we decided to do a lot of in-depth research into the mindset of these shooters and these domestic terrorists, because they do follow a very particular mindset and a very particular journey. And most of it has to do with loneliness and being emotionally vulnerable to these group thinks and this group mentality and this group brainwashing that happens. But in terms of like my personal connection and how I got there, two things. One, some of the casually racist things that are brought up in the film, I wholeheartedly used to believe a few years ago, you know, because society has all these racist ideas just kind of baked into it. I fully believed those things and had to kind of deprogram myself. So connecting to these false beliefs was really just, you know, remembering some of the past. And otherwise, to get into the mindset of someone who is so lonely and vulnerable to groupthink in this way, I had to remove mentally the positive experiences that I've had in my life that have allowed me to choose empathy over an anger hole. And the way that I did that was kind of putting my close family relationships, friend relationships, this relationship into my necklace. And then when I took the necklace off, making that kind of mental note to myself that all of those experiences and all of that love and community is gone in my life. And that immediately creates a hole that feels like it needs to be filled with something, anything, especially if it's bigger than yourself. And unfortunately for these terrorists, you know, it is very weird to say unfortunately for these terrorists because they're the ones killing and hurting people. But at the end of the day, they're being radicalized and brainwashed. And it's the same whether it's, you know, ISIS or QAnon.
I mean, putting this film together, I mean, what was that journey like for you both in terms of from actually, you know, the writing to, you know, working with the actors and actresses? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about that journey and what it was like for you both?
Yeah, so we first conceived of the film when we were in Los Angeles showing another film. And we were not far from where the Poway synagogue shooting and the other one.
Oh, so the Pittsburgh shooting
he tells this story much better than I do.
just because these stupid details stick in my mind weirdly. So the Pittsburgh Synagogue Massacre, the Tree of Life Massacre, was 6 months to the day that the Poway Synagogue shooting happened, and that was actually purposeful on the part of the terrorist, was to make that connection. And like Serena said, we were showing a film not too far away when the Poway Synagogue shooting happened.
And I remember when these events came to light and we were so close in proximity to it, he turned to me and said, I want to make a film about hate, because we were in the middle of another job. Actually, when we were in Los Angeles, we were actually on a break from another job that was keeping us out of the United States. We were traveling internationally with this other production. And so we were feeling quite powerless, being so far away from where these, you know, terrorist attacks on our homeland were occurring. And we thought, well, what can we do? We're not at home right now to be marching regularly. There's a lot of powerlessness that comes with being away. And we thought, well, we can tell a story. We can do the research and learn what's really going on with this conspiracy theory, the Great Replacement conspiracy theory, which we came to learn quite a lot about as we were researching. And we thought we can make a film, right? That's what we can do, even if we're not in the United States right now.
So we delved into several month-long period of research where we created fake usernames and entered into these extremist online spaces and observed the behavior there. We read classic Nazi propaganda, pre and during World War II, post World War II Nazi novellas. And all of these ideas, of course, are much older than our contemporary age. It got even older than the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. These are hundreds and hundreds of years old ideas about white supremacy. So we saw how these ideas were being repeated by the media unknowingly or knowingly, by politicians unknowingly or knowingly. As I'm sure you saw in the film, several politicians come up, not just former President Trump, but I would love to name drop Louis Gohmert because I severely do not like him. And he pushes white supremacist conspiracy theories. And after kind of distilling how these people were being radicalized to this extremist conspiracy theory and to white supremacy in general via social media, we started creating the skeleton of like what drives, what would happen to this fictitious person we're creating that's an archetype of all of these shooters.
Yeah.
Like, how did they get there just based on what we knew?
Right. What are the common plot points, if you will, that we discovered along the way in our research journey? And so actually the other day we were with Jenna from the festival, and we were discussing how we initially thought that this story was going to somehow be a very twisted comedy.
Nope.
Which, as we were researching, we quickly learned, like, okay, that's not what this story wants to be, and that's
been hard to make it even into a comedy.
Yeah.
Like, gotta give props to Waititi for Jojo Rabbit, because like he managed to make a similar storyline funny, but we didn't.
Right. It wanted to be something else, right? So we let it grow into what it wanted to be. But all that to say, we learned as much through our journey as we hope people will learn while watching the film. We did not start off on our journey as, extremism experts, and I wouldn't say that we are by any means, but there is so much that the public doesn't understand or is just starting to understand about how the internet, especially, it has become this incredibly powerful tool for brainwashing, for the spread of conspiracy theories, and how these conspiracy theories sort of poke their heads up in seemingly innocuous, casual ways in our everyday life and language. And then to your question about the cast and our team.
Oh, such good people.
Oh my goodness, we got so lucky with our whole team was just an absolute dream. Noam Shapiro and Brisa Covarrubias, who play two of the main actors in the story, brought such authenticity and love and care and thoughtfulness to their roles. And working with them on set, it was interesting because it's such heavy material, and yet I feel that our team on set and during post-production with Jorge Arzak, our incredible director of photography, and basically our post-production extraordinaire, both of these experiences, we were able to find a lot of fun and lightheartedness and community and love, I think, among the team that enabled us all to work on such heavy, dark, important material.
And I will say that as a goal of ours in terms of, being the bosses, we wanted to create a work environment where people felt like, yes, there's all this extremist imagery and there's all this extremist stuff in there, but that when people came to work, they didn't feel like the story was being told for the benefit of the extremists. We wanted to create a safe work environment that people knew that this was a story that was going to be doing the opposite of spreading hate speech, even though it needs to deal with hate speech.
Yeah.
And we had a really, really awesome, amazing team that came on board with us. Our producer, Jessica Sharples, found a really great, wonderful, actually majority female team to work on set with us.
Amazing.
Really great.
That's great.
And I think that's important because it's such a heavy topic. Like you said, it's needed, but you need that support of your cast members. You need that support of a good team around you, that even when you're shooting the most heaviest part of the film, you can walk away and you can still have that banter. You can still have, a good time with other people who will lift you up, ready for the next part. So it's good that you had that. I mean, Serena, for yourself, we heard a little bit about how Ethan dealt with playing the character. How did you kind of transition? Was it the fact that you had the team as a support, or did you have your own way of dealing with the heaviness of it and coming out of that?
I don't know. When I'm working on a creative project like this that gets me really fired up, I tend to feel pretty adrenalized the whole time and creatively stimulated. So I don't know. I think just knowing that getting the story and this information into people's hands and minds and hearts is important and really, really necessary right now, sort of was the fuel, right? Like, yeah, maybe there were days where it felt heavy and still are some days where it feels especially heavy, especially when the headlines in the news are making this film even more relevant every day. Sometimes we joke, we're like, can we wake up one day and like nobody wants to see this movie anymore because it's not relevant? And of course that's not happening right now. But that knowledge that you're doing it for something bigger than yourself makes it doesn't feel heavy, it feels fulfilling.
Beautiful. I think like moving on from that, because I know particularly at the end of the film on the credits you mentioned that's part of the ALD foundation, or there's like
the ADL.
an initiative. ADL, that's it, sorry.
Oh, you're good. I forgot Pittsburgh earlier, so
so like can you tell us a little bit more about this movement? Because again, this is about, of course, eradicating hate and promoting good. Tell us a little bit more about what is ADL about?
Well, the Anti-Defamation League was an organization founded in the United States in the wake of the death of Leo Frank. Please don't hate me, the rest of the internet, for getting these historical facts wrong. The ADL was founded after the lynching of a Jewish person in order to combat anti-Semitism and general hatred within the United States. They've expanded from campaigns against anti-Semitism to campaigns against white supremacy, racism in general, and provide training for government organizations and private organizations to educate them. The ADL, we have a very limited but very cool creative partnership with them. They very graciously gave us one of their experts from the Center for Extremism to come and do a Q&A with us to help better inform the public about these conspiracy theories and what we can do with them.
And their materials were integral, if not our primary sources for our research when we were writing the film.
I would say that, the ADL Center for Extremism has amazing resources to identify symbology that's used by extremist groups in esoteric ways. You see what used to mean OK, which is the circle and the three fingers, now starts to mean Ku Klux Klan, OKKK. And it's very difficult to understand that kind of thing and this very esoteric internet slang that's become code for many white supremacists to talk without being understood by the general public. So they have a very extensive research unit there at the Anti-Defamation League. They've helped stop several terrorist attacks by coordinating with law enforcement after tracking social media extremism. And in general, they're a great organization that's dealing with this phenomena of white supremacist conspiracy theories and radicalizing people via the internet.
Sure. So we have something similar over here called the Prevent, which is the Prevent team exactly work the same way as ADL. I mean, where do you see the journey with this film? Because I mean, I could see it basically being shown to like high school students or college students, because there's a lot of youngsters as well as those that are getting older that are vulnerable into falling into this trap of becoming a supremacist or in terrorism or whatever. But where is that journey? Are you looking to kind of push it down that route, or what's the journey?
You hit the nail on the head, Mel. Our goal is exactly that. I think from the beginning of our process, when we first conceived of it through distribution, our goal is to educate people and to inform, right, with what we can, with the tools that we can, to enlighten people who may not be aware of how these conspiracy theories are affecting people's actual lives and safety, right? So yes, that's exactly our goal, to use it in an educational way.
And I will say specifically on that point that I would love to get this film shown in synagogues, even though many Jewish people might be aware of the anti-Semitic nature of the conspiracy theory and how that affects Jews. Just saying this, I am a Jewish person who passes as white all the fucking time, you know, for cops, judges, lawyers, other people, I'm a white dude. And that conditionally white status allows white supremacist ideologies to filter in here really easily. And I think that it would be very beneficial for Ashkenazi Jews in particular to see if they're starting to have some of the same mindsets as the main character. Because there's a great writer, I'm sure the whole world has heard of him at this point because his books are on the national seller list right now, is Ibram X. Kendi, who currently leads the Center for Anti-Racism Research at Boston University, I believe. He makes a very good point. All people, regardless of background, can uphold racist ideas and racist policies. So I think it's important not only to get this into universities, but also specifically in some communities that are being damaged by white supremacy, but in other ways uphold it in very indirect ways, you know, very indirect, but still real in terms of consequence.
And I think it is about opening our eyes to seeing the truth. And some people want to shut away from it and thinking, it's happening,
but I don't need to acknowledge it.
I'll just turn around and just continue on my way. But it's important that this message is out there, and all we can
say, it's a worldwide message as well.
Definitely,
it's something that the whole world is affected by this, and it's important for all of us to come together. And films like this help us to bond a little bit more and connect with those that are maybe feeling the same, or that are saying, well, actually, there's a way out. Don't fall into this trap, because we know what could happen and how it can play with your mind.
Yes. And in terms of your international point, I think that that's something that, yes, absolutely needs to be examined in every country, because the Great Replacement, this phraseology that we've used for the film, because it's the most recognizable, comes from a French right-wing extremist who pushes this conspiracy theory against Muslim people. And that's the same thing that motivated the shooting at Christchurch in New Zealand.
Exactly.
Muslim people are coming. So in our film, we show the American, or I should say the United States iteration of that, which is against Latino people. And there are still, or I should use Latinx or Latine in case people would like gender neutral terms for this demographic. So there are still thousands of Latine people in what are effectively internment camps in the United States still that need to be freed.
And like you said, it's so easy for people who look like Ethan and I do to imagine that this has nothing to do with us, right? And it's nonsense, because white supremacy in all of its forms and manifestations harms literally everybody. It is a blight in the culture that harms the victims and the perpetrators as well. It's not even the white supremacists actually benefit from this ideology and its practices.
Part
right?
of it, part of the characters.
That much. Sorry, Ethan, carry on.
No. What were you going to say?
I was saying, holding on to that much hate is not going to be beneficial for anyone.
Never.
Right. Right.
And
all it is a murderous Band-Aid on top of a deep wound, right?
And some of it's not even hate. Sorry to sound like a broken record, but to bring up Kendi's book, How to Be Anti-Racist Again, there's a portion wherein he says that the main motivation for racism isn't ignorance or hate, it's actually self-interest. And that's how our character in this film has it applied to himself. He views himself subconsciously as inherently better. And when he's
because he has nothing else.
Because he has nothing else. And when he's not getting what he thinks he deserves,
that's right.
When his self-interest isn't being fulfilled in the subconscious fantasy that he has about his life, which it isn't. The character is a lower socioeconomic status, doesn't have close family relationships, doesn't have close friends, but feels subconsciously entitled to all those things because he's been taught that he's inherently good. So that's I think how white supremacy really impacts a lot of people, is a sense of self-hatred that is extended onto others. And the sense of self-hatred comes from not fulfilling some fake prophecy about their potential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about this
For a long time.
and like there's probably a lot more
There's
questions.
so many
that we
more
could ask
questions. Yeah.
But it's been so insightful. You've shared so much honesty about your own journeys and also the film and how you brought it together. And I think, I'm just grateful that you made that decision to make this film.
Definitely.
Because so many people need this message and they need to see it. So
we can
just
thank you for making it.
Doing
And
this.
we need
And
more
sharing.
eyes and ears
Yeah.
on this topic. And we, again, just like, the purpose of the movie, let's change that hate into love, and just, again, just keep us connected. The world needs to connect and not disconnect from each other.
Yes.
Thank you again. And congratulations for being
Yeah.
selected once again for Paris International Film Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for saying that. So much goes into a little movie, even when it's only 16 minutes long. So to hear that it's making an impact is just such a gift. So thank you for saying that.
And thank you for your insightful questions.
Yeah.
Really, really wonderful to do the interview today.
Oh,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Why don't you tell me about the comment you made to Jonah?
What comment? I'm not racist.
Nobody's calling you that.
This is against my First Amendment rights.
What the fuck are you doing?
You're gonna sit there and tell me you don't know who I am?
What are you talking about, dude? We don't know you. You get the fuck out of my life!
We hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more RIME Entertainment Showcase.